Taoiseach, can you tell us how much money the government has now spent on paying for the lawyers who are representing the government to support Apple in order to stop the people of this country getting 13 billion in additional tax revenue? Can you tell us the cost? I mean, I think it absolutely beggars belief that a company that was paying less than 1% tax, that is the richest company in the world, that the government is backing it in a case that it was paying its fair share of tax, as against the EU Commission, who clearly and correctly, in my opinion, identified the fact that they were getting favourable tax treatment. And I would just add, some of us argued that if we forced them to pay more by removing things like the double Irish, or indeed increasing the corporate tax rate, that they wouldn't run out of the country. And you look at it, they haven't run out of the country when those things have been done.
Deputy O'Murkel.
Thanks very much, Deputies, for your questions. And Deputy Dillon was the first to ask a question, and that was in relation to balanced regional development, and really want to echo his words in that regard. It's the government's objective to make sure that we have job opportunities in all parts of the country, and I think we're making some real progress in that regard. More than half of all new investments by IDA companies last year were outside of Dublin, and about 2/3 of Enterprise Ireland supported jobs, that's Irish companies exporting, were outside of Dublin last year. Was delighted to see Dexcom announcing that they're creating 1,000 jobs in Athenry. Was in Clonmel on Friday to announce 400 jobs by Boston Scientific, and a major jobs announcement in Limerick there recently as well. And was present with Deputy Dillon to visit Meissner some years ago, and I'll take up the issue of the advanced building in Castlebar, because that's one that I was personally involved in with the Deputy back when I was Minister of Enterprise, and I want to make sure that's available as a potential site for investment and job creation in Mayo into the future. And we will continue to invest in infrastructure in the county. Looking forward to opening the Castlebar to Westport Road, which is the biggest, I think, the biggest infrastructure investment by the state in Mayo, and would agree that we need to continue to invest in roads and broadband and other infrastructure in the county, including Ireland West Airport at Knock. On the tourist towns, Deputy Crowe mentioned the issue of the tourist towns that have been impacted adversely by the refugee crisis, and we do acknowledge that that is a problem. There are people from Ukraine and people from all over the world in all parts of the country. I think Dublin has more than any other individual county, but on percentage terms, the biggest is down the western seaboard, including counties like Clare, Donegal, Kerry and Mayo, and we do need to acknowledge that. We've done that in part through the Community Recognition Fund, the €50 million to help communities that have accepted a large number of people from overseas. I think that was very well received, and I know Minister Martin is looking at how she might be able to help some of the businesses that have been adversely affected. The accommodation providers are fine, but pubs, restaurants, attractions, they're losing out, and that's clear, and we've some data on that. Some will be able to pivot and adapt, others won't. Either way, they're going to need help, and Minister Martin is working on proposals to do exactly that. Deputy Moynihan raised the issue of the M20, and again, just want to reaffirm the government's commitment to building the Cork-Limerick motorway, a very important infrastructural project in the NDP, significant from a balanced regional development point of view, connecting Cork and Limerick and then on to Galway, but also really important for towns like Charleville, like Buttevant. But as is often the case with these big projects, they take time, and this one has to go through planning and design. Deputy Barry mentioned, as a number of deputies mentioned, the whole issue of Apple. Have had the pleasure to be to Holly Hill on more than one occasion, visited Apple, saw the work they do there. Thousands of jobs are provided by people there. I think the Apple state aid case is being misrepresented, quite frankly. Let's not forget what this is about. This is a view taken by the European Commission that Ireland about 20 years ago had a special tax arrangement with Apple that wasn't available to other countries. That is simply untrue. And the European courts that heard the case found in favour of Ireland and agreed that there was no such special arrangement in place. And we'll see what the European Court of Justice says. So I don't see how the state could do anything other than reaffirm the fact that there was no special arrangement with Apple, and that the allegations made by the Commission are untrue in that regard. And even if the case goes against us and we find ourselves in the possession of 13 billion, it won't be ours to spend. Other countries will want their share of it too. I have about 7 more questions I don't have time to reply to, but
We'll be facing the same challenges with the next group of questions. Taoiseach, in your own time,
I can, if you want to take time off the next one, I don't mind, but it's up to...
we're already very much against the clock on the next question as well. If the members are happy, then I'll have to be very, very brief with the final round of questioning. The members happy to afford them another 2 minutes? In that case, very good.
As brief as I can, just on the issue of duty of care legislation, we plan to get that enacted this year because we want to rebalance, or at least say to people that there are inherent risks you take in engaging in certain activities, and we hope that will help to bring down the cost of insurance. Deputy Gann raised the issue of a municipal market, and I think he's spot on, quite frankly, in raising that issue. It's something that's really missing from the city of Dublin. You go to Madrid, you go to Barcelona, you see some really beautiful markets, good for business, good for tourism, good for local people as well, which is the most important thing. Places like the milk market in Limerick, English market in Cork, something I think is very missing from Dublin, and there are options there both with the Ivy market in Dublin 8 and the Smithfield market, and we should seize that opportunity. So it is something that I'll take up with the city manager next time I'm speaking to him. Then just finally on electricity prices, I think I probably dealt with that in some detail earlier on today in response to Deputy MacDonald. But suffice to say that petrol has come down, diesel has come down, electricity prices will come down, and Minister Coveney is meeting with the CCPC next week to establish that they have sufficient powers to carry out any investigations that are necessary.